6-1 Bucs looking good of late. No Super Bowl hangover as of yet. On the other side, though, Sir Jameis Winston making his first start against the Tampa team that drafted him first overall back in 2015. We got our number 1 overall pick, Mike Vick, back with us to break this game down. Aw, we flatter you, Mike. We flatter you. Mike, what does Jameis need to do Sunday if he's going to have any chance to outperform Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs?
Well, guys, I'm probably about to state the obvious. As we all know, I think 2 things. Jameis has to be cautious with the football. He has to score points, especially more than what they scored last week versus the Seattle Seahawks. And, you know, this is a time where Jameis has to flourish. I think if the New Orleans Saints are going to go further than where they at right now, and, you know, I think, create that championship mentality, that championship caliber type of football, this is the time to do it. And Jameis has to be at the forefront. No Michael Thomas. And, you know, not a lot of guys in the lineup who's stepping up and making a lot of plays in terms from a receiver's perspective. But I like the way they used Alvin Kamara last week. I think Jameis got to lean on Alvin Kamara and what they do best together. I think they developed some chemistry last week versus the Seattle Seahawks and ran a lot of choice routes that had those guys on defense really out of position. And take advantage of a Bucs defense that's good up front, but is slowly but surely getting better in the secondary, has some guys out. So there will be some opportunities there, but I think they got to jump on top of them early, and they got to score at least more than 20 points because the Saints defense has showed that they can play good football at the time of need, and they've been pretty successful and productive over the last couple of years in terms of run defense and pass defense. So Jameis got to score points and be meticulous with the football.
Yeah, they're going to have to unleash Jameis for good or for bad because nobody can run on Tampa. And we know Tampa's entire game plan is going to be don't let Alvin Kamara kill us. We don't even know if the Saints are going to have Taysom Hill for this game. He hasn't practiced yet this week dealing with a concussion. And Taysom obviously can add some good trick play elements to the offense. So it's going to be Jameis. Can you get back there and sling it? And Wilds, I think this is a sneaky, huge game for Tampa. Everyone knows it's a big game for the Saints. You'd stay alive for the division. You'd be in a position to make the playoffs, all that. But because Tampa's schedule has been so soft and continues to be even softer, I think they have to, for their own psyche going into the postseason, beat the type of teams that might be in the postseason. So after this game, they have the Bills, and then their next hardest game is at the Colts. Their next hardest game after that is at the Falcons. Their schedule is the softest in the league, in my opinion, after this week. And so I think there is an element of, yeah, we know we can kick the teeth in of bad opponents. But if you played the Cowboys down to the final second, you lost to the Rams pretty convincingly. If somehow the Saints beat them, I do wonder what it does to a Bucs team that right now has to feel great. You just ran up the score on the Bears. So I understand the perspective of the Saints are trying to stay alive for the postseason, stay alive for the division. So approaching it from there, I think from a Super Bowl expectation standpoint, this is a really big game for Tampa. Now I expect them to win because I don't think Jameis is going to be able to carve up the Bucs defense. But I want to see how Brady looks against that Saints front, and I want to see how the Bucs look against a above average opponent, first one they've played in a month.
Well, I think it's a win-win for Tom Brady, right? If Tom Brady goes in and cooks up that Saints defense that has been playing really well, obviously the Bucs are who they thought we were, or the Bucs are who we thought they were. There you go. But even if Tom Brady loses, I think it's a good stress test for the Bucs. Like, oh, you know what? We're not as good as we thought we were. We shouldn't be striving to score 5 touchdowns, 50 points on teams. There's stuff we need to work on. It's a little bit akin, Mike, to when I like an NCAA team to lose in the conference tourney before they go to the NCAA tourney, get them a little bit fired up. But I want to talk about Jameis. I feel like when Tom Brady went to New England, that narrative of like playing your old team, that like took all the narrative juice of the entire NFL and we all put it into the Tom Brady back in Foxborough bucket. Meanwhile, we've seen some funky performances when guys have been playing their old team. Sam Darnold got benched because he was back in the Meadowlands. And then we saw Goff and Stafford. They had an odd game. Maybe Goff's good. It's a strange game. Jameis said he's trying to keep his emotions in check. He's trying to be present. Do you think Jameis playing the Bucs is going to have an emotional impact that'll make him play better or worse?
It could go either way, Wiles. He could either play better or he could play worse. Like, it's all in what Jameis is feeling when he wake up on Sunday morning, and that's going to be the catalyst to success. And hopefully it's on the side of, Aaron on the side of playing better, because that's what it's going to take. We're going to need to see the 30 touchdown Jameis that we've seen in the years prior. We know he has the talent to do it, but he got to play this game and keep his emotions in check. I played against Atlanta, I think, twice when I was in Philadelphia. And I'll be honest, both times I came into those games, emotions super high and really wanting to beat them. And I'll be candid about that because I can and I should. And that's a normal thing. Jameis is going to feel that way naturally, so he got to keep them emotions in check, play the game and have fun playing it, enjoy playing against your former team. At the same time, trying to show them what they can't say what they're missing, but what they could have potentially had moving forward. So you got to find some type of motivation in it. I say all that to say that.
You definitely can't show them up, but
yes,
Wilds, you mentioned it's a win-win for Tampa Bay. It's a win-win for me too, because my preseason MVP pick, Tom Brady.
Here we go.
And I'm feeling really good. I don't know how in the world didn't I see some odds earlier this week that he's not in the top 3? He should be number 1 as far as I'm concerned. All right, so I'm feeling good about that. And then I got my dark horse candidate, Jameis. You guys make fun of me. You lampoon me. But Jameis, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. All right, so if somehow he pulls off the upset, then I'm sitting pretty there as well.
Win-win for Broussard.
I do think this. Yeah, Jameis is interesting because Nick's right. They have no choice but to let him go. And they've had the reins on him all season. He hasn't even thrown for 300 yards in a game. In the first 3 games, he didn't even throw for 200 in any of those games. It seems like lately they've been letting him go a little bit more. He threw it for 30 times each of the last 2 games. Those are the only 2 games all season that he's put it up that much. And they're going to have to let him go this time. We know Tampa Bay, the secondary is not the best. So if he has a big game, if he's able to have a big game here, then I think this could spur him on, hopefully, to great things going forward. Or it could unleash him to make more mistakes, to make more. I don't mean great things like he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
I feel you,
I
Chris.
just mean he play. You know what I'm saying, Mike? Like he plays. He's Mike. He's somewhere in between the guy that threw for 5,000 yards a few years ago and this guy that's on pace to throw for about 2,000. All right, so talk to me about how this could spur Jameis going forward.
Well, like you say, it's a confidence booster, and right now, Jameis needs all the confidence that he can get. And I think you said something that's very interesting. Not a lot of attempts during the game or throughout the course of the game. 30 being the average, that's not a lot of passing. And that seems like, what we was doing in 2004, 2005 in Atlanta. We was doing more running and passing and a lot of shorter route combinations and concepts. You got to push the ball down the field, especially against the Bucs defense who, like I say, is wounded in some areas but getting better. So this is the time to lay the foundation and I think, set up for the postseason. It starts this week for the New Orleans Saints and Jameis Winston, to your point, Chris.
That's right.
Let Jameis cook. Mike Vick, thank you so much, as always. Time now for Nick's picks.
Thank you, Mike.
A 1-2 record last week, a 1-2 record. What happened, Nick?
That's about par for
Okay,
the
well, you know what? Let's not focus on last week. Let's focus on the year as a whole, because I got to take the audience on a quick narrative journey. 2 years ago, America, I was quite literally, I don't know if you guys put me on camera, I got to tell the America something here. 2 years ago, I was quite literally the best in the nation at this. I was 68% against the spread, the best of anyone that talks sports on television. Last year, I was excellent at this until the very end, and it all fell apart at the very end, particularly the Super Bowl. This year, I'm 1 game under 500. Does that narrative arc remind you of any football team? 2 years ago, the best in the world. Last year, amazing, and then fell apart at the end. This year, 1 game under 500. I say all that to say this. Much like the Chiefs, this is the week we turn it around. We go from a middling sub-500 picker to the best in the league. Let's go first.